Welcome everyone to our April 12, 2018 City of Palatka Commission meeting. We'll have the invocation by Reverend Dan Phillips, Associate Pastor of Francis Baptist Church. We'd also ask Reverend Phillips if he would lead us in the pledge. Will everyone please stand at this time?
Our Father, before the sound of the first gavel, before the first person came into this room, your presence was here. Father, we know from your word that you have ordained government. That, Father, when many people are together, there will be times that leaders need to be called, need to be appointed to administer into the lives of so many. So, Father, for these commissioners that have answered the call of the ballot box, for these staff members that support them, Father, if they need wisdom in this position, may they know that they can call on you and ask for wisdom and ask for guidance, and Father, you will grant it and grant it liberally. Moses needed help and compassion, and you granted it to him. Solomon, the wisest man in the world, needed wisdom and compassion, and you granted it to him. And Father, we the citizens need to remember that while we are in this place and in your presence, no matter how passionate, no matter how interested or how vested we might be in what is discussed, Father, everything can be conducted with civility, politeness, and sincerity. And so, Father, we give this meeting to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Dan. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brown. Commissioner Forum.
Present.
Commissioner Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner McCaskill. Here. All members are present and accounted for. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes from our March 22nd regular scheduled meeting and also from our March 26th and 27th call meetings?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. We got, I'm sorry. You have some unreadiness on that motion?
Yeah.
What's your discussion?
I really didn't get a chance to review them, so I don't want to.
Okay. Okay, so we got 4 ayes and 1 nay. Moving on to item 1 of our agenda, which is public recognition. We got 3 items of public recognition today. First up is Call Before You Dig Month. Got Mr. Brad Martin here for this proclamation. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas each year in Florida, lives are endangered, money and time are wasted, and property is destroyed because people fail to locate underground facilities before beginning excavation or demolition. Whereas Call Sunshine, a one-call center that notifies participating utility agencies of plans to engage in excavation or demolition, is a free service to professional contractors as well as homeowners digging in their yard. And whereas One Call Center provides a toll-free number to reduce damages to underground utilities, thereby preventing injury to persons and damage to property, as well as reducing the loss of utilities service to public and the loss of time and money to both contractors and utilities. And whereas in addition to saving time and money, the One Call system helps excavators comply with the safety rules and regulations of the construction industry. And whereas anyone planning any type of excavation or demolition should notify Call Sunshine, and if a line must be located, personnel will be sent to mark the location of the line at no cost to the inquiring party. Now therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, Florida, together with members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 as Call Before You Dig Month in the city of Palatka. And urge all citizens and contractors to use Call Sunshine, a one-call center to locate underground facilities before beginning excavation and demolition, in addition to all other appropriate safety precautions. And witness whereof I appear to set my hand and cause to be affixed to seal the city of Palatka, Florida, on this 12th day in the year of our Lord 2018, April. Terrell Hill Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and Tammy McCaskill, Commissioners. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's a motion by Commissioner Campbell, second by Commissioner Borum. Any in readiness, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I want to present this to you, sir. Say a couple words for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Good evening, everyone. I would just like to tip my hat off to the commission and to you as well. Historically, you guys have issued a proclamation every month. And the utilities, the county, the city that are located here in the community, they are great partners in damage prevention and safety for excavation, in promoting and spreading the awareness through bill stuffers and billboards and things of that nature. So it's a big hats off, tipping the hat to those folks for their great partnership. Always remember to call 811 before you dig. It's free service, and utility marks will get placed so you don't dig into electric, gas, water, sewer, etc. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys all very much.
And we've had our own experiences with that. Next up, Aviation Appreciation Month. I see some members from the Air Force Advisory Board, from the Airport Advisory Board, and also Mr. Yule. If you guys come up at this time. Ms. Brown, just wave your hand. Proclamation reads as follows. Whereas aviation plays a critical role in the lives of our citizens, as well as in the operation of our business, agriculture, and tourism industries, and whereas Florida has a significant interest in the continued vitality of aviation, aircraft and aerospace manufacturing, commercial services, community airports, and aviation education. With 20 commercial service airports and 108 general aviation airports, Florida continues to meet the growing demand of air service in support of the state's tourist industry, as more than half of Florida's visitors arrive each year by air, and whereas more than 8.5% of Florida's gross state product results from business dependent upon aviation. And Florida's commercial airports accommodate more than 149.3 million passengers annually, ranking Florida third in the nation. International airports in Florida accommodate more than 30.4 million international passengers annually, which is 20.4% of the total international passengers in the nation. And whereas Florida's general aviation community airports accommodate more than 9 million visitors and business travelers annually, in general, aviation represents more than $10.3 billion in annual economic activity in Florida. And whereas general aviation not only supports Florida's economy, it improves overall quality of life by supporting emergency medical and healthcare services, law enforcement, firefighting, and disaster relief, and by transporting business travelers to the destination quickly and safely. Now, therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, Florida, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, hereby endorse and proclaim April 2018 as Aviation Appreciation Month in the City of Palatka. And we call all citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities that honor the history, accomplishments, and contributions of aviation, as well as the contributions of the members of the Palatka Airport Advisory Board, make all year in the viability of the Palatka Municipal Airport, and witness whereof I appear to set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of the City of Palatka, Florida, on this 12th day of April in the year of our Lord 2018. Terrell Hill Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and Tammy McCaskill, Commissioners. I'll entertain a motion. There's a motion by Vice Mayor Brown. There's a second by Commissioner Campbell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Who will present this to you on behalf of the city? Two words for us.
Yes, I sure would. So, Mr. Mayor and Commission and Mr. City Manager, Mr. Don Holmes, on behalf of our Airport Advisory Board, your Airport Advisory Board, I'd like to say a word of thanks for letting us serve your community, our community, as we do. Socrates said about flying that man must rise high above the earth to the top of the atmosphere and beyond, for only thus will he fully understand the world in which he lives. And I thought of those thoughts as I thought about our meeting tonight in this honor of serving aviation this month. And so much has been invented because of flying. So much science, so much technology has opened up, and we're still discovering the world in which we live because of flying. And we want to say thank you on behalf of my fellow board members, which are John Browning, Melissa Miller, Ken Johnson, Wayne McLean, Jeff Halfthorne, Hugh Rawls, and Dana Jones. We want to say a special word of thanks to each of you, and especially to you, Ms. Commissioner Mary Lawson Brown. Thank you for always attending our meetings. It's so encouraging, and we appreciate your support that you give us. When you look at our airport, which we're going to see some pictures of, we have a beautiful place, and it's so pretty, and so much has happened in 10 years. And we also have beautiful plans for the future. I don't know whether you've all seen them, but we really do, and we have beautiful people. So it's really a real compliment to our community and to our city, and thank you for letting us serve you. Oh, and John, you. Oh, yeah, and Andrew. I left out Andrew, too. But John is, you know, we get to visit lots of little airports if you fly, and you see so much that you wish was different. But Palatka has already done all that, and John has just done an amazing job, and I'm not saying it because he's here, at making our airport so friendly and so pretty. And Andrew and his team have just been tremendous, very tremendous. It's just such a change over the last aviation consultant that we had years ago, and it's really wonderful. So thank you.
He does. If I could just add a few things, or one thing, Mr. Folsom asked for us to bring some pictures of the terminal building, kind of before, during, and after kind of the landmark of our airport, and it really is a showcase in Northeast Florida. Andrew Olesko probably visits more airports than anybody, and he gets asked more questions about this building, and this building has spawned a number of buildings in Lake City, Fernandina Beach, and DeLand now is interested in building a building, and it's kind of copying what we've got. So I don't know if anybody remembers the old building. I learned to fly out of this building in 1981, and it was old then. So we chose to build a new terminal. Here you see the construction underway. We broke down with 2008, and we are celebrating the 10-year reunion. And the next picture, this is the ribbon cutting ceremony in which Congressman Micah, who was instrumental in helping us get this building, came down and spoke. I think that's State Representative, if you could back up State Representative Van Zant's also in that picture. And the tall gentleman on the right side of the middle of the ribbon, the tall red-headed gentleman, is a relative of Kay Larkin himself. We were able to run him down, and he came and gave just a great speech of the Larkin family in Kay. And Judge, you're in there. Yes, sir. You're, as well as Mayor Flagg.
Sean, you might mention who Kay Larkin is or was.
Kay Larkin was the first pilot from Putnam County to die during World War II. And he also had a brother who was a pilot in World War II. And we got a nice picture of him in front of the building near the flags if you ever get a chance to come out and take a look. And this, you got to admit, is a significant improvement over the old building. And we're just proud of it. It showcases very well, and hopefully makes everybody here proud. So, again, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, you need to also tell them those people on our board, all of them do not live in Palatka, but they fly all over the world delivering airplanes, and all of the people on the board, I think, besides, I don't know, Melissa and me, I think, are the only ones probably that don't fly. And probably won't fly.
You fly, you just do it on the ground.
But the people that are on that board, love that airport, and they bring us all kinds of information and help us. And they said that they would like to come to our meeting one day when we invite them. So we put that on our calendar to do that. We have to let them know ahead of time so that those ones that live out of town can come.
And can't say enough about the gentleman that
Oh,
that herds
I don't
those
know how
cats
he
once a
puts up
month.
with us.
Judd does a fine job leading, a really headstrong group of people. Pilots
Well,
are known for being headstrong, and
He
we
got some
good
heavyweights in there, and he kind of keeps us going. And
He does a great
we out
job.
of there in an hour, which is amazing. He gets the work done, and we get the work done in an hour.
We'll be out of here in an hour.
That's good.
Three. Moving on to our next proclamation. For Child Abuse Prevention Month, Ms. Mariana Cotter from Community Partnership for Children. Ms. Thomas?
Come on, Mary.
We see you. Come on up.
It's always good to see my CPC folks, former board member. Proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Florida's future depends on nurturing the healthy development of our 4 million children in our state. Whereas abuse and neglect of children can cause severe, costly, and lifelong problems. And whereas every child has the right to be safe, healthy, and educationally and developmentally on track. Whereas research shows that parents are caregivers who have support systems and know how to seek help in times of trouble are more resilient and better able to provide safe environments and nurturing experiences for the children. And whereas individual businesses, schools, and faith-based and community organizations must make children a top priority and take action to support the physical, social, emotional, and educational development and competency of all children. And whereas during the month of April, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Department of Children and Families, and the Ounce Prevention Fund of Florida, the City of Palatka will support Pinwheels for Prevention, the statewide campaign promoting awareness of healthy child development, positive parenting practices, and the type of concrete support family needs within our community. Now, therefore, I, Terrell Hill, Mayor of the City of Palatka, Florida, on behalf of the Palatka City Commission, hereby proclaim April 2018 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Palatka, and urge all who read or hear this proclamation to engage in activities whose purpose is to strengthen families and communities to provide the optimal environment for healthy child development. In witness whereof, I appear to set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of the City of Palatka, Florida, on this 12th day of April in the year of our Lord 2018. Terrell Hill, Mayor, Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Forum, Justin Campbell, and Tammy McCaskill, Commissioners. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion by Commissioner McCaskill, a second by Commissioner Forum. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. You want to present the proclamation? Thank you guys for all the work that you do.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to help prevent child abuse. So I hope that you'll all, just can keep that in mind anytime that you see anything that you might suspect is child abuse, and do what you can to help the family out. And to that, to the awareness, we actually have an event coming up. It's not on your list here, but on next Wednesday, April 18th, at Community Partnership for Children, which is at 1910 Reed Street, we have a child abuse prevention event. And bring your kids. It's really, really a nice event to have, and I'll leave these here with you. And I thank you. And Charles Bucket is from DCF, and I'd like to say it.
What time is that? And that event is from 4 to 7?
Yes, from 4 to 7.
But me and Commissioner Campbell are always there till like 8 because we just don't want to leave.
Thank you for recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the City of Palatka's efforts to help prevent child abuse and neglect with the Department of Children and Families and Community Partnership for Children. The myth of the pinwheels, it used to be that pinwheels represented a child death or a child that was abused. We're trying to change that message and have it be true prevention. So a pinwheel could stand for a child that's involved in extracurricular activities like sports or the YMCA or swim lessons, or a child that's gotten a good grade on its report card. or children that are getting regular medical checkups. We find that when caregivers and parents are more involved in a child's life, reading to them at night or taking them to extracurricular events, they're less likely to be involved with the department. And that's what we want to see. We want true prevention. Right now, the two most reported maltreatment types in Putnam County and the city of Palatka, and really in all of Circuit 7, is substance misuse and family violence against child. Those are the two big problems that we have to tackle with true prevention. Unfortunately, when children are removed, it's a last-ditch effort, because when we have to remove a child, we're not only removing them from the abusive or neglectful situation, we're taking them out of their whole life. Their friends, their family, their video games, their toys, their pets, and that's very traumatic. So we're doing everything we can to try to prevent that from happening. And so efforts like this and just getting the word out that we're about prevention, not just in the month of April, but year-round, will go a long way towards curing this illness. So I appreciate you guys recognizing it, and thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have this in an electronic form? Can I give you my card so
Absolutely.
that I can put it out?
And the whole community is invited. We want from one.
Just a reminder, the Florida Department of Health in Putnam County does do at-risk parenting classes for parents actually in their homes for kids that are at risk through an ounce of prevention. So it's our Healthy Families Putnam program. So if you have families, any age group, please forward them to the Department of Health. Look, good.
I told him you could keep that.
Sure. We'll take a break.
Again, let's give a round of applause. There are flyers in the back of the room for anyone who wants to take one home with them tonight. I will say that we've had an opportunity to go to this event for the last 3 years. That's been on. This will be the third year for us, and it's an awesome event. It's a great opportunity for the children to get out as well. But we encourage everyone to go out and participate. And it's just you got folks that come from all over the state for this event just to come back and give to Putnam, and we definitely encourage the community to come out and be of a great support. The services that come from both DCF and the Community Partnership, children, and their community-based care group are just second to none, and we are very lucky to have those folks in our community and for them to care for our young people and the families the way that they do. On our agenda, we're going to move the memorial for Mr. Charlie Boyd Jr. Till the 26th, our meeting on the 26th, but we want to make sure that we do acknowledge his family members who are here today. If you would stand for me so that we can recognize you. We'll now move on to public comment. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. There will be no action taken on topics of discussion. Anyone wishing to speak during public comment should fill out a speaker's card in the back of the room. Just fill that card out and bring it forward and give it to the clerk so that we can acknowledge you. As you come up, give your name and address so we'll have that for the record. First up on our speaker's comments, Ms. Kathleen Story.
Would you have one go first, please? When I go first?
Ma'am?
No, please go first. Kathleen's preference.
Lynn Roberson?
Robertson.
Robertson.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Well, I want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Say your name and address for the
My
record.
name is Lynn Robertson. I live at 410 South 9th Street.
Thank you.
I recently moved here. My grandmother used to ride a steamboat to this town, and there are Robertsons here in Oak Hill Cemetery. So I feel as though I am coming home. One thing I noticed is that I bought a house on the worst corner of Palatka. 3 streams of traffic come colliding at that corner. There are 2 stop signs, habitual speeding despite the 25-mile-an-hour zone signs. Also, this is a 2-lane road.
And I started wondering about this and asked a question. Why are all of these out-of-town trucks stealing our space and safety? My wall has a great big old hole that some truck smacked through. My neighbor told me somebody died on that corner, and I know a lot of trucks have overturned there. So I learned that Palatka has an addition 2003 to the municipal code, section 82 to 85, that defines trucks as any 5-ton vehicle and prohibits them from being within city limits unless they have a legitimate errand there. There's a truck map. Trucks are rerouted to 100, 17, and 19. So the first thing I did was talk to Mr. Zariah Folston. I talked to our mayor. I talked to Mr. Griffin. I talked to the DOT. And nobody seemed to be aware of this. I counted. In 5 minutes at 9 o'clock in the morning, there were 10 o'clock in the morning, there were 9 trucks. Now, one of those was a tanker, and tankers can carry 12,000 gallons of gasoline or any other nasty stuff. Is that something we want rolling over and catching fire in our neighborhood? Likewise, the trucks that come from Wisconsin, Illinois, good Lord, they're through trucks going on State Road 20. They think they can. So those trucks are 75 feet long, and that doesn't count the cab.
Time's up. You get 30 seconds to wrap up.
Thank you. And so I'm here with my question. Why are these trucks good for Palatka? No one likes them. They're dangerous. They're disturbing. And we have a law to prevent them. So my request is, let's please start enforcing this law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Story. Ms. Story.
Oh. I won't take 3 minutes. The teacher in me wants to ask you to raise your hands how many people read my email, but I won't do that. Kathleen Story. Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Wow. Thank you. My classroom is usually that good. I'm Kathleen Story, 321 Dodge Street, Palatka. I forgot to mention that. I go up Krill a lot, and my worst fear is that underpass where I have to go under where the train goes above. I love that I skip the train, but if you ever go through that with one of those trucks and they're not going 25, they're barreling down the hill, they make the curve, but just before that is that underpass. And if you go through, I have so many times just gone and just hope that, would make it. They're so fast and they just come on through and they're big. We do have the law. I would ask that it be enforced. And I talked with some people who've grown up here. Mary Lawson Brown probably knows. There apparently used to be a sign, at least at the entrance from the bridge coming into Palatka, warning trucks about the law. And it's not there now. And there's, as far as anyone I've talked with, it's never had one at 20, where 20 hits 19. They are apparently using GPS, which maybe they didn't used to, and GPS needs to be changed also, so it doesn't direct trucks. Continue on 20 and just go on straight, to the light. And I know they want to misread street, but my email said all that, so I would just ask that consider signs, whatever can be done to enforce the law. Just get these trucks out of there. That street is not meant for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else here for public comment? Your card says item 4.
I will sign a card, but I can shed some light on the subject if you like. If not, I won't say anything.
Come on up. We almost like history lesson. Got 14 seconds.
You got it.
Lakewood Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, and former Palatka City Commission. Pearl Avenue is State Road 20. That's a state road which is under the laws of the State Department of Transportation and not the city of Palatka. I'm familiar with our truck law that we had. We prohibited trucks going down certain residential streets and listed certain areas where trucks weren't supposed to go. Pearl Avenue, State Road 20 was not one of those streets. A lot of that traffic coming in is coming in from Gainesville, and State Road 20 is the quickest and straightest way at this point to get to Reed Street. And until the Department of Transportation decides to reroute State Road 20, unfortunately, the city can't do anything about it. The other thing is the only overpass, the only underpass under the railroad track is on State Road 20. So a lot of the trucks go that way to avoid the railroad track. It's unfortunate that that's the way it is. I don't remember any trucks overturning there. I don't say they haven't. I've lived here for years. My cousins used to live on the corner. I don't remember any wrecks there. There may have been. I'm not contradicting it. I just don't remember any and no trucks turning over. And I know what the lady means about going over the underpass, because when you pass a school bus, it's kind of creepy also. Usually I slow down and wait for the truck to come out before I go through the underpass.
You slow down?
Yeah, I do. I slow down when there's traffic coming, but that's just what I wanted to clarify what the issue was and what the actual truck ordinance. I don't know anything about any signs, except there are some residential roads where the trucks are prohibited, but Pearl Avenue, State Road 20 is not one of them. Thank you.
Okay. And just
That's not what the DOT said.
please don't yell out in public meetings. But just for the record, Mr. Griffith has actually been working on this. He's looked at it, he's looked at the maps, and for clarification purposes, if you can just come up and give a quick 30-second rendition of what you've gathered based on the research and the map that you pulled.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Real quick, myself and Chief Shaw have coordinated regarding the existing code and map for enforcement by the Palatka Police Department. We've reached out to Florida Department of Transportation to ask them to look at the signage, even though it meets their standard. There may be some improvements they can make. And we've also sent a ticket into Google Maps. They actually have a reporting mechanism, but I have not received a response on that.
And just so that you ladies know that we have been working on this, and that so your concerns have not gone to deaf ears.
But, Mayor, when it's a state road, they don't let us do hardly anything on the state road. We can patch it.
DOT has ultimate authority on what goes on.
Yeah, and they need to know that it's not the city, DOT, so whoever you talk to, DOT was passing the buck. But they don't let you do anything without permission on that, and that's been Highway 20 since I was born.
So we're moving forward. Staff is diligently working on that, both Public Works and the Police Department. And so I think we will have a response back, hopefully, in the DOT fashion pretty soon, which means a few months. So we'll move forward, and we'll close public comment at this time and move on to our consent agenda. We've got 3 items on the consent agenda. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the consent agenda? If you have, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve. Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Campbell, a second by Commissioner McCaskill. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 4, CRA business. Proposed tax increment district, a request for staff's direction. Mr. Griffith, will you come forward at this time?
Yes, sir. At the February 12, 2018 Brownfields workshop, there was general consensus to move forward with the creation of what was generally referred to as the Cypress Mills District or Palatka Heights District. There is a draft blight study that has been prepared, laid out within the agenda item. There's a 5-step process that we would have to go through for the creation of this district and the adoption of the district. We need some direction regarding if you, as a commission, want us to pursue this process for the creation of this district, if you would like us to look at additional TIF districts that have been referenced in some of the previous workshops. And if so, how soon do you want to move forward? We would like to know when you'd like to see that first public hearing date and the notices to go out to the taxing agencies. And would you prefer staff to lead that exercise or hire a consultant as we have done in the past?
Any comments?
I've been approached by somebody who lives on the Heights.
She's on the speaker card.
Oh, okay. She does not want to be the Heights included in the mill, Cypress Mill district. So.
Anything else?
What's the cost for the outside consultant to do the evaluation, whatever?
Sir, we haven't reached out to any of the consultants yet. In the past, the city has used Dietrich Planning. Mr. Knight lives in the Jacksonville area and is very familiar with the existing CRA plan. If that is something you'd like to look into, we would probably propose to solicit some proposals, maybe even put an RFQ out for other entities that may be qualified to provide that service. I wouldn't expect it to exceed anywhere in the $30,000 range.
And we have staff that can do it, readily do it.
That would be a question for Mr. Folsom, sir.
I'm gonna interject into this. No, I don't think we have the expertise to do it. It's something that Ms. Dietrich does on a regular basis, and other consultants who do this regularly. It takes out a lot of the hiccups out of the process that's been done in various places throughout this region by that particular agency. They did the last flight study and created the CRA that we have today. Ms. Dietrich is the same consultant that came in and facilitated the meetings we had before. My suggestion is to look at them in our regional council and see if we can and put it out on the streets to see what type of bids we get in for the services that we're asking for. And also, I would suggest that we start to have the public hearings in the communities that are going to be affected, so that we can actually get the input, such as Ms. Kitchen's input and anyone else in our neighborhood, to determine where the boundary lines are, or if there's an interest from the community as a whole, and move forward. And I think we need to let staff kind of create the timeline and the direction, because they're going to know more than anything how long it's going to take for them to get to that point. And I think through the leadership of both Mr. Griffith and Mr. Poston, we can get that done fairly quickly, considering it on an annual basis. There's a challenge to CRAs all across the state.
I've asked a question. Weren't we talking too about extending the one along the Reed Street corridor?
We actually discussed creating 2 additional CRAs. One which was considered the Central Station CRA.
I don't think we came up with a formal name.
Mr. Crow presented it with like a central name for it. But what it was a CRA that encompassed portions of the 11th Street corridor on the north side, as well as commercial portions of Reed Street.
I thought that
And then there was another one that was
11th Street is in the.
Part of it is in, once you cross the railroad tracks, then you're not there. And once you go past Main Street, you're there. That's not a CRA district as well. The line for the Central Business District changes, and also for the North Historic District. The North Historic District ends at 5th Street. And so you've got a section of the community that's not involved in any type of CRA at all. And so that's what we were trying to find ways to include larger residential areas and also the commercial areas, which is kind of what you need to build up your numbers.
Because some of these areas up here, people got cut out of a couple of those buildings along
And that was part
Main
of
Street.
And that was part of what that district was.
Yeah, they requested not to go in, and they put around them to make the district and stop that bill. Are we not gonna look at extending the 11th Street, the Reed Street, 11th Street corridor out? Because there's more businesses in there, and they probably could bring
That's part of the Vision 2020 project that we've been looking at, and the CRA was a part of that as well. It was something that we discussed during a series of meetings with the CRA, and we talked about it, and it's just a matter of what staff needs at this point is direction on whether we need to explore those in the district as well and do the black studies while we're doing all of this with the consultant at one time, which is really more feasible as opposed to trying to do it at various times and come back in the commission and do other work.
I don't think we're under the time constraint prior to with the CRAs being
Under attack.
under attack anymore. I think we've been relieved of that. So the December
this year,
December 31st wouldn't, because you wouldn't be able to create another CRA district after December 31st or October. It was October time frame. So I think we should be good from that respect. Correct.
For this year.
For this year, yes.
But it's something that's been coming up annually for a number of years.
Right.
And so I wouldn't expect it to go away.
Right. Okay, that's all. That's all.
So what's the direction? Do we want to look at the districts? The commission needs to give direction, clear direction to Mr. Griffith of where he goes on whether we're moving forward with the black study. Is there going to be an RFP or an RFQ? And are we going to start, and when do you want to start public hearings? And so I guess we'll start with the first. Is the commission in favor of moving forward with the black studies, and do you want an RFP or an RFQ? Or do you want to try to do it in-house?
Sir, it would most likely be an RFQ. We would rank consultants, and then we would negotiate with the top-ranked consultant. And please bear in mind that this expense would be a general fund expense, so it would have to be amended to the current year budget, but it would be a small, non-recurring expense.
Can I ask a question?
What is small?
Is the commission's decision about whether to go forward depend in any way on the wishes of the people that are within the district?
It depends on the wishes of the people in the district. I think the public hearings are going to be crucial as to where we go.
My question then would be, would you want to have those hearings before you started the process of issuing RFQs and considering qualifications? Because if you go through the process of issuing the RFQs and considering qualifications and the people in the district don't want it, you just on wheels, it would just seem to me.
But if you've already got that in place and the people do want it, then you don't have to, you can accept the rankings, but you don't have to enter into a contract. And that way your wheels turn already.
How much is it, John?
It's a small fee.
So honestly, we won't know until we rank consultants and start negotiating. I think looking at the steps that have to occur and based upon the expenses that we've incurred for similar activities, updating the plan, I wouldn't expect it to be in excess of 30 grand. And there are some items that staff could coordinate, like some of the public hearing and assisting with the advertising and noticing under the guidance of the consultant.
Then wasn't there some reoccurring fee?
There would not be a recurring fee, no, sir.
We've already done the black study.
No,
Okay.
I'd like to see that Ridge Street corridor, I know, because we talked about that and we thought we could do more to help do it. I hadn't had a chance to really think about the heights.
Anyone else from the commission?
No.
Okay, so is everyone in the commission okay with going forward with the Wilson Cypress?
Yes. Yes.
Everyone's okay with that?
Yes.
Hold on, say it again.
Wilson Cypress. Wilson Cypress. Cypress Mills. CRA. Anyone who's not in favor of moving forward with that? Okay. So
I think it's just having that one as a CRA. I think we have the same question. Just he clarified it for me.
Cypress, we'll look at Cypress. We can look at Cypress. My suggestion is that we look at Cypress Mills, and as we continue on with Cypress Mills, there may be some conversation about where the line is drawn as it relates to Palatka Heights residents. And that's something that staff can look into. And that'll be done pretty much through your public hearings and the communication with the residents that are affected.
So to be clear, are we talking about holding a public hearing to get citizen input, or are we talking about having a workshop concurrent with advertising an RFQ so that we can get feedback?
Let's do the workshop first, and then and from the workshop, we'll know how to do it here. And so we can move forward with Cypress Mills, and Cypress Mills, depending on what the answers are, it either tells us to cut an area out, or it tells us to cut an area out, create a second district, or stop with that. Also, we'll look at the central region as well, which encompasses the remainder of, that encompasses that area from 6th to 14th and Summer Reed. Anyone okay? Everyone's okay with looking at that area also? We're okay with Vice Mayor Brown's recommendation for that? And we can use the same concept. Anything else? You're okay with that, and staff could set the dates and just coordinate it with the commission? Mr. Folsom?
I think the only thing we just got to keep in mind is going to be the cost, but if this is something we want to do, we're going to have to fund it. So just keep in mind that Jonathan told you that number could be approximately 30 grand.
For each district?
We don't know.
Most likely, depending on if we do them all at the same time, or if it's, I wouldn't see them occurring at the same time, but you have to develop a light study as part of the overall process, and you have to head start on that in regards to the water.
Right, the mills, okay.
We can move forward.
Mr. Mayor, I signed the speaker's card.
You did, and I haven't gotten to you yet.
Oh, thank you.
We've got that direction as to where we are. Is there anything else, Mr. Griffith, that you want as it relates to that matter?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, those are the recommendations. Now, Ms. Kitchens, you can come forward.
Public comments.
I live in the Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida, and I live in the area that you're calling the Heights District. I am asking you, when you give direction to staff, which I think you just did, if I understood you correctly, to not include what you're calling the Heights area, i.e. west of the railroad track, in with Wilson Cypress, which is the property east of the railroad track, which is on the riverside of the railroad track, for people not familiar with east and west in the city. The Palatka Heights area is a completely separate area from the Cypress Mills area. It always has been separate, dating back to 1870 when it was a separate incorporated city. The makeup of the area is different. The people are different. It's a completely different area. You're talking about apples and Cadillacs. So I'm just asking you to please, if you're going to go ahead and do, I don't want a CRA in the Heights area, but I will consider it. I'm only about 50-60% against it. I'm not totally against it, but I do not want it combined in.
What's the ratio again?
About 64, I'm about 60% against it, but if you separate the two CRAs, then I would give it due consideration and really think about it a lot. But I do not want it combined in with the property east of the railroad track. Absolutely, in no way, shape, or form. So I'm asking you, and I think you told the staff to just look at the Wilson Mills or the Cypress Mills, but according to the map in your packet, the Cypress Mills includes all the way up to 13th Street, which takes in my property, and that's, no, please don't do that.
But we would give due notice to all the property owners to make sure that the same concerns that you.
Right, and I thank you for that, and I think you need, in addition to the workshops are great, but they're overrated. You need to have public hearings also in the neighborhoods or for the neighbors specifically in that area.
We've already said that we're going to do public hearings as well.
Great. And to add one more thing, Lori Dietrich is very good, and she is very good at what she does, and so I think if you go with her, you couldn't go wrong on that. And I'm all, if the neighbors in the central business district of the area you're talking about expanding down 11th Street, if they're in agreement to it, I think that would be great for them. Not for my neighborhood. We don't need to be declared a blight and be put in danger of eminent domain seizure of our property. So please, just don't combine those two CRAs. Thank you.
Just as a point of clarification, which is the apples and which are the Cadillacs?
Well, I guess we're the Cadillacs when you consider you can have worms in the apples, so the Cypress would be the apple with the worm in it.
Why did you open that door?
You asked for it.
Why did you open that door?
Did you get that mix? Electric Kitchens, capital A.
All right, so just to be clear, Mayor, we're having a public workshop, right?
We're going to do public workshops.
In the neighborhood.
In the neighborhoods. Let's actually meet the people where they are and not inconvenience them to come anywhere else.
Is it a call meeting or is it just a staff-led public workshop?
We can, I'm pretty sure the commission's going to want to come here as well, so let's just make sure we notice it, saying that more than one commissioner will be there.
Thank you.
Where would we meet in
That
the
was my
neighborhood?
question.
Where?
Where would we meet in the Heights neighborhood? Somebody's house?
Miss Kitchens?
I live in a neighborhood, but think about that community park right there. I mean,
Yeah, that
that's-
Black Heights
yeah.
Park is on the
Park
corner.
Heights Park is
River.
right there. Well, it's not really a lot there, but just.
We're gonna
And
meet
you
in a
have that
building,
pool.
right?
The Lions Club.
We can get with staff and find out where we can do it.
The Lions Club is a good, yeah, women's club, not the
The
Lions.
Cooper Center.
So
We
let's,
have options.
we got options,
Choose the best.
and we'll figure it out. Ms. Kitchen's going to help you with that, Jonathan.
I will be glad to help you with it.
Anything else on item 4 of the agenda as we talk about Cadillacs and oranges?
Apples.
Apples. It's a new category. Moving on to item 5. We're going to be out here in this hour. Item 5. Captain Newcomb.
Sir.
Got anything for us today? Anything else for the health department?
No, sir.
Fire department?
Good evening. Just like to thank the city and the city staff for everything they did for us last week. We had to have, it was a sad week. We had one of our own die. But we just didn't get nothing but overwhelming support from the city, from the police department to Mr. Folston. The mayor asked him several times what we can do. You guys showing up at the ER that night, I mean, it just spoke volumes. And just like to say thank you for everything you guys did. On a better note, we got our golf tournament on Saturday coming up, so looking forward to that. And that's about it. And I just want to say thank you.
I want to say, Chief Grimes, thank you for what you did. You took the bull by the horn and you steered and led your men with integrity and dignity. Just seeing you try to, be strong in a situation where a lot of people would have been weak. I just want to thank you for doing what you did in your leadership. It was next to none. Like, I would not, you handled it in a way that was just with dignity. And that was from the time we got to the hospital, even up until this very day. And I appreciate you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Or what you are doing still.
Thank you.
I also want to make sure that we don't forget that we had pastors like Pastor Oliver, who was in the back of the room in the purple shirt, who came in. He just left earlier with the Boyd family. Pastor Oliver, also Pastor Flagg, and several others who came in to offer support in a matter of moments. Also, Mr. Folston, who drove down from Gainesville in the middle of the night. But I think it's just a testament of overwhelming love. Within your department, I think within the city, and the growth, the family aspect. And so, as we continue to deal with tragedy and we continue to deal with grief, we want to make sure that we continue to be mindful and observe our surroundings throughout on a daily basis, and that we make sure that we really operate as a team. And so again, Chief, thank you for your leadership. I thank this commission for coming out in the middle of the night. I was actually in New York at the time, and the commissioners came out in the middle of the night as well. And that's what we're expected to do. And we're expected to rally around each other. And those other fire agencies that came out, like St. Augustine and St. John's, to come over and cook for you, those are overwhelming shows of love. And I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure we cultivate those relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't thank the city of St. Augustine enough. I mean, their guys showed up in our bay that following Monday morning. They made breakfast for the guys coming back to work. And, just a testament to the people that we work with and that we have work for us. Is, I know I extended an offer to those guys on his shift, the tragedy that happened. I asked him, I said, we'll arrange for you guys to have another day off if you want to, take another day of grieving. and every one of them showed up to work the next day. So that, I mean, I just thought it was just an outstanding effort upon them. The sheriff, I mean, he actually came in and had they're underneath contract with a doctor to come in and talk that specializes in that kind of stuff. And she came out, Dr. Jacob just did a fabulous job. She came out to the EOC, matter of fact, it was Sunday night, and spoke to our crews, and she's reached out to us several times along the way. And, you know, just the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and what they did when we went to go pick our firefighter up was just phenomenal. They said it usually takes about a day or two to get something like that pulled off, and they did it in like 30 minutes. They called Sheriff Shore over there, and I mean, the escort we had back home was just unbelievable. And our city staff, we couldn't have done it without our staff. I mean, that's what made it, I mean, I won't say it was easy, but I mean, we had a lot of people we could turn to during the process that made it a little bit easier than what it was. So thanks again. I mean, everything the city did, they never told me no, which I thank you for that. We didn't hit any hiccups or road bumps during the way. So I think we did a great job that Saturday. It was second to none. We received nothing but you know, thanks from the family. The family wanted to thank you guys for everything that you guys did. So once again, thank you so much.
And also our police department picking up, carrying the torch in.
Yes, absolutely. Chief Shaw, I called him with a very short notice because we didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. And he put a couple of the guys together. And so between the St. Johns County, our local police department, our sheriff's office, we were able to bring them home. So,
yeah.
So.
And it was, I did pretty well during the service or whatever, but it hit me pretty hard right there at the end there when, you know, they did that call out or whatever, and just a guy who firefighters couldn't answer the call. So, and also he came in on our commission from, I guess, when we got sworn in or whatever that particular year. So he didn't complete his call, and we're getting ready for renewal of our commission, and it was just pretty tough for me for him being there for 3 years, and we're up for renewal now. So it's just very hard for me.
Once again, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
See you.
And they report no crashes this week, so.
The floating parachute.
Having some technical difficulties. It's not coming out. Somebody there just help.
We'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Budget thing you have, budget.
Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, she said.
Mr. Poston.
Yes, just want to thank the fire chief again, and the fire staff for all the work they did, the police department as well. Definitely want to thank Putnam County for their assistance, the sheriff, everybody in Putnam County. Also want to thank St. Johns County. St. Augustine did a phenomenal job, not just helping out and assisting during the week, but they also did a phenomenal job on the day of the funeral. The funeral was definitely well done. Chieftain did an excellent job. The chief even looked spiffy in his jacket with his gold bars on the sleeve. I was definitely impressed. So just thank you guys so much during such a tough time in the commission as well for your direction during that moment. Also, wanted to let you know that the chief wasn't able to be here tonight because tonight was the Palatka boys basketball banquet that took place tonight. So we definitely want to let you know and to be aware of that. And that is all I have for tonight. Oh, Saturday, we have the bike event for Florida Trails. Will be on Saturday. The chiefdom have their golf tournament on Saturday as well. I think there's several events going on Saturday. So if you can find one event to go poke your head in, it'd be great to go out and support the community this weekend. A lot of events going on.
Just one thing, one of our own, Brian McCann, wastewater treatment plant superintendent, just welcomed his first grandchild in the world, Connor Lowe. So I want to send out congratulations to him and his family.
All right, thanks, sir.
Ms. Becker.
This one?
You have in front of you a budget and brief. It is for the first 6 months of this fiscal year. March 31st is the end date that these year-to-dates are for. Basically, I have a few highlights to speak to, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask or, see me after. General fund, which is a little small in your left-hand corner of the pie chart, so that's what we have up on this screen. But the revenues, you'll see that taxes, we are 88%, 80% that we've realized. We're waiting for 4 more disbursements. And also we've received FEMA money that we didn't actually budget for from Matthew. So that was good that we've received that in as additional revenue. Because we did have those expenses that it needs to cover. Expenditures for general fund, a big thing to highlight on is that we had an additional storm, Irma. So those expenses are actually realized in this fiscal year. So we probably won't get those revenues for those FEMA monies until maybe a year if we're happy. We're lucky, but likely 2 years. So then up at the airport, I want to just note that we have a few projects that are about 90% complete. So you'll see that there are some expenditures speaking to those. The grants for those are approved. We're just waiting on the disbursements, and then you will see those realized in the revenue side. Let's see. Then I was going to speak to Better Place and Sanitation, kind of in the same boat here. Capital equipment, we have some of those POs that have already been issued, and the revenues have not been realized. So you'll see a kind of change in that as we go throughout the year. And then utility and TIF funds, that's where our big project of potable water line replacements are kind of being transferred between. One thing to note, which you might remember from the CRA meeting, we have pledged budgets that were actually budgeted to be expensed completely in fiscal year 17. However, with the storm and a few other things that delayed some of the projects, you will see that a lot of the expenses that were supposed to hit last fiscal year are actually going to hit this fiscal year. Therefore, we will be likely proposing a budget amendment to help us cover those expenditures that we already have pledged budget to that has been approved. We just need to realize those in this fiscal year. So those are a few of the highlights. Like I said, if you have any questions,
Yeah, with cemeteries, how are we?
Yes.
Budget cemeteries. We have an unexpected expense.
Yes, her storm related. Absolutely, and it wasn't in the budget that year or this year.
And so, Commissioner, this is just to give you, Commissioner Barr, you had mentioned a couple of meetings ago about getting this updated report. So this is just to give you a snapshot tonight, to not get into as much detail unless you guys have questions. We can always bring this back to you, but I know you had mentioned in the meeting you wanted to see this report, so we wanted to make sure that it was accessible to you and that you could get a chance to look at it and digest it a little bit more.
Sure, appreciate it.
Absolutely, there's a lot of details in it, but
That's what we got in our
it is. Yes, sir.
So,
Emailed
yeah.
it to you.
Sure, appreciate it.
Okay, and that's it for me.
Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, we are in the final stages of finalizing the internship program. We're looking to have the applications out within the next week or so. We'll move forward with that. And that's pretty much it. Once again, thank you to Chief and your leadership. Ms. Becker, thank you for jumping in and showing yourself. Just thank you to everybody. Jonathan, as always, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I want to ask a question. Both. Is it up and running? Are they going to start prior to Palatka at a time soon or what?
Ma'am, they actually have a special run scheduled for this Saturday evening in association with Black Bike Fest. They continue to look for those opportunities with the special bids that are coming up. And we're in, I believe, the final stages of negotiating that phase of the operation agreement. Mr. Holmes has his final touches on it and pass it on for review.
I have. I've finished it. I've reviewed the agreement and made my suggestions. It's with Mr. Folston and Ms. Becker now for some financial assessments. And it is not a simple agreement. It's not a, it has many aspects to it from a financial perspective. And I don't know that we'll fully understand all the aspects until we put something in play. But we're trying to forecast as much as we can to avoid surprises.
But the summer is coming and people have class reunions and school reunions and different things, and they still call it ask, you know, is it available? So we need to ask them to let us know something. The other thing is, you know, I'm a pack rat, and in going through some of my stuff, I found out pictures of how Palatka used to look downtown, and it started something in me to say that we need to probably do a little more. A suggestion we talked about years ago was if we can get people to come down to the waterfront, maybe on a Saturday evening or a Sunday, and show some old movies. We've had several movies made in Palatka years ago, and they could come in a boat or they could come in cars, or we need to start having some activities on the waterfront during our summer, because people say they don't have anything to do, and just going out and not charging anybody anything, letting them sit on the lawn and watch a movie, or have a gospel sing or a jazz fest down there. I would like to plant that seed in your head. The other thing is, with our building things, my time by up. I know.
No, ma'am, you're good.
I just say with our buildings and things, we're moving forward on looking and talking about our city hall a little bit more.
Yes, ma'am. I think at our, what was it, special commission workshop, I guess that's what we called it. We went on our boat ride, not boat ride. Bus tour. We saw several different facilities, and you guys asked us to bring back 2. I think one of the things is, just to mention that could help us, is that there are probably three areas, 3 questions that you could probably provide us some guidance. That way we can bring back something more thorough to you. One of which is proximity important to you. One is probably, is assets important to you in terms of these assets that we currently have in the city. And then thirdly, probably is what's most important that we resolve. When we talk about our space needs, who are we looking at first? Is that the PD? Is that Public Works? Is that us? Is that a collaborative team? So probably those 3 things will help bring us some focus of what we can bring back. Because it's my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that what you want us to bring back is a little bit more in depth than just a building. You want to get some down into at least some conceptual drawings of kind of where we want to be at. So if you could provide some direction on proximity to the city's core, or whatever that case may be, that can help us in terms of narrowing our scope of what we're looking at, as well as how you feel about the assets that the city currently has, and then what's most important. Because if we're looking for somewhere for the police department, which is a great use, the building use is different than if we're looking for Public Works. You know what I'm saying? Or they could be synonymous depending on the location. But I think those other things, if you could help provide us some guidance, that really can help. So it's proximity. Since she's asked me, is proximity something we value, something that's kind of, what are you thinking?
I think Public Works is most important because of the conditions that folks are working in. And for me, I think the comfort of the commission is last. Public Works is most important. If I had to put a list together, I think location is definitely an important aspect for all of us. But cost is also an opportunity, particularly since we're talking about looking at, creating urban service boundaries and interlocals that will allow us to do other things. And if we've got an opportunity to build, to really expand this community and look 30 years in the future, it's far different than looking at just what our needs are today. And so if we can save millions today, and it'll accommodate us in the future, then we look at that. But I definitely think that we have to preserve the history of this community. We've got to make sure that there is a presence or the highest and best use of existing buildings, and that we take care of our employees and our staff and their working conditions first.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Well, I mean, I think,
Yeah.
I just think,
And I was gonna say, since we talk about property, maybe we just need to drop by and talk to our city manager one-on-one, and then he can put it together. Because if you're gonna do property, then you need to not put it out there.
I just think, you know, you evaluate those buildings. I mean, we got all those different buildings with various problems. I mean, I think you want to prioritize the buildings that are having major issues. Talking about public works, talking about the police station, and as well as the annex, leaks, roof leaks, health condition as it relates to the public works building. We need to look at those, evaluate those, and then prioritize them. Is okay, well, hey, can we do it all at once? Do we need to kind of stagger it, phase it, whatever we need to do? But I would like to also get a recommendation from our city manager as well, because I think as we went on that bus tour, I think we asked that same question, and I like to get what you think as well, based on what you know, and that'll kind of help give us even more direction as well. So, and proximity is a thing that I have a concern with, proximity, access.
About the other thing I suggested, having more activities maybe on the waterfront, since we got such a lovely waterfront, other cities have it. Maybe we need to see if we can get a volunteer group to come together that would like help pull it together, so that we can do stuff that does not cost people, but they could have fun and it would promote our downtown.
Give me back on that, on these buildings.
Who we talking about the building?
Talking about the buildings.
I thought we were gonna go talk to him one-on-one.
The last comment was on the building.
We were just getting commissioners' comments on the building. So, that's all I have.
All right, anyone else? Mayor's already said the most important is public works. So we got proximity, I got from him, got cost from him. Kind of what are you thinking in terms of cost in terms of assets? Are there any assets that are sacred cows to us?
I have one more thing about the operational. I mentioned that a while back about what was the cost for the current buildings that we have right now, the cost to operate and maintain those buildings. Maintaining mean regular maintenance as well as things that come up with it as in terms of repairs. If we can get some of that type information, that'll help give you more information that you can help make better decisions.
And I think that can be part of the conversation, if I may, I'm sorry, that we will have with the city manager one-on-one, that we can kind of some food for thought that we can have use as talking points with us when we meet with you one-on-one. So, some guidance.
That information will come from financials and
which he'll seek out and have available.
Just to kind of give you some insight, we tried that when Matt was here, to try to do a comparison, looking at different buildings and what it would be. And it's almost, in some ways, it's comparing apples to oranges, because a lot of the repairs are things that you wouldn't even encompass. And then, so, for example, when you look at fiber, and you look at the fact that we budgeted for IT, and then there still needs to be some capital upgrades made to IT at the rate of about 100 to 150,000. Then you can't put a clear number on where that benefit comes in certain places. Or when you start doing the square foot comparison on what your light bills are, when you look at these buildings and they're much older, and the fact that we got in the history, and some of those things you just can't. You can put it together, but it's gonna be a little off. And we tried it a couple different ways, and we just couldn't get understanding to make it make sense overall. But I do think the numbers are important when you say, you know, what's the utility cost of that building? You know, of a different building, or what are going to be the anticipated utility costs, or what are we looking at as far as repairs on an annual basis at certain facilities. But you also got to look at the fact that, you know, some buildings are going to take $1 million to retrofit them and bring them back to where they are, the ones that we have existing. And so it's so many different moving pieces, and it's probably better to have that conversation one-on-one about what your concerns are.
Mm-hmm. So we're comparing apples to Cadillacs.
Watch out for that word.
That's all I have.
Good word in there. So, anything else?
Yeah. So, are we still, you still want us to come back with just 2 options?
If we run into something else, maybe we can suggest.
Come on.
We've been budgeted for 2 years for public works. It's time to know who we start
That's
to
the top
really
priority.
explore.
Absolutely.
You know, that building's not getting any better. Well, those buildings, it's a hot spot. Vice Mayor, you had your comment about riverfront activities.
Yeah. I just want to plant that seed, and maybe y'all can think about it, and we can come up with something that can be done to help us have more activities. Because there are a lot of cities that have activities going. If it's not every week, it'll be once or twice a month. And it will give folks something to do weekend afternoon.
Well, I do with commissioner events, and I do actually plan on doing some family-oriented events that will bring people to the riverfront over the summer.
Okay. Well, we just need to put it together where we all working towards one goal instead of going in different directions. We could probably get more stuff done.
I agree. I think it's an opportunity for a summer series. That we will plan it out. We have a summer series for nothing but once a month. We have a big event. I've seen other communities where we've done movie night out, and I can imagine how good that could look on the riverfront. Popcorn is inexpensive to get. The popcorn machine is very inexpensive to get, and we can have people bring their lawn chairs with their family. So I agree that could be something that positive we could do in the community during the summer months.
We already have a concert series on the riverfront now through the Arts Council.
And I think that everybody should, each one of us should at least take the charge, take a stance of, you know, starting something, you know, spearheading one of the events or whatever. So, in lieu of that volunteer group doing it, I think that we can step up to the plate and each one of us can.
And then we can help each other.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Always.
I know that there are a lot of, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No.
You
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
I thought, I'm sorry.
No,
okay, well, anyway, I know that there are a lot of events taking place this Saturday, but I really want to bring attention to a job skills workshop at Palatka, and it's on our website. I did talk with Ms. Nicole. It's located at 1404 Old Jacksonville Highway. It starts at 9 o'clock. She is looking to hire at least 50 individuals. She would like for everyone to call and register, but if you can't, just show up. All you have to do is really take a skills test, and she's looking to hire everyone on the spot. So please, everyone, get the word out. It's on our website. Show up from 9 to 1 out at Palatka.
Yeah. We also have community outreach. Also going to be held at James A. Long this weekend, and it's from 10 to 1. I think so. We have a number of events. I think I'm going to let the mayor talk about some of the other ones that he will. No, you go. Yeah, but we got a number of events. We like for people to come out and support these events or what have you. So I'm going to rest mine.
What time is the James A. Long? I'm sorry.
10 to 1.
Okay, thank you.
In following direction, I'll be speaking on Saturday for the North Point Youth annual fundraiser. Dr. Errol Finlayer's Foundation. We also have the U-Turn community outreach event, which is the Anti-Drug Coalition, faith-based anti-drug coalition, which will have all community partners at the Theobald Center. On Saturday, that event goes from 11 a.m. until about 5. And so we look forward to folks coming out there as well. It's usually about 3,000 people out at that event. It's a very large event. But outside of that, I will say again publicly that the Blue Crab Festival is not a City of Palatka function.
Thank you.
We have been, I think, overwhelmed with the number of calls and criticisms that historically come to City Hall from disappointed and yet irate individuals. There is a group of citizens who contacted City Hall in an effort to try to put on a riverfront event on Memorial Day weekend. And they've gathered resources and sponsorships, and they're probably going to try to push forward. As of this date, Palatka Blue Crab has not withdrawn their special events permit, to my understanding. Has that happened thus far? Black Palatka Blue Crab. Blue Crab. They finally have. So they've withdrawn their special events permit. So that weekend is available. We've been in conversations, and there are a couple groups that have come together to try to put something on in that place. Both the city and I think the county is interested in having some conversations as well for future endeavors as it relates. We got an opportunity. We got an opportunity to go down to Miami Gardens and actually and see an event called Jazz in the Garden, which was started by the city of Miami Gardens, and it started as a community event, and it now brings about 65,000 people per night for a 2-day concert series and other healthcare and events that morphed out of it for the entire week for the city of Miami Gardens. It's a different dynamic, but I watched that community take that event and grow it from a $100,000 endeavor within their community to a multi-million-dollar event. And I think the impact at this point was listed at $125 million for that community. And that was just based on them gathering sponsorships. So there are a number of groups that are interested, and we're going to move forward. Also, Bike Florida is going to be in town this weekend. Last year they came in with 600 bikes. We are proud of what we do from a sports tourism and ecotourism standpoint. We're going to continue to move forward. And so where we are in Palakka's festival season, Blue Crab is by far probably the most popular event, and one of the things that people always speak of. It's unfortunate that the committee could not pull the event off, even with the additional help that they got from TDC, and also some of the things that the city was doing by way of concessions to make sure that it met their needs when they met with us. But we'll continue to let the gem of the St. Johns River shine and do what's necessary to promote this community in the most positive light without piecemealing and putting something together just for the sake of saying we have it. When we put it together, there needs to be some level of accountability, and there needs to be some true planning so that when folks visit this community, they leave with a lasting impression and not with frustration. And those are my comments for today. Thank you guys for all your service and your energy. We will entertain a motion to adjourn unless we have anything else.
Well, is saying that did we ever put a statement out about the city is not, did we ever do a statement from the city? No, we're not going to do it.
We haven't put an official statement out. I've gone on to some of the outlets of social media and placed a statement out there. I'm sure the newspaper will put something out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we will continue to do that.
Just one quick thing. I like to recognize when we have you that actually come to our meetings and stay the entire meeting. So the two, I saw one in the back, but if you can just stand up, state your name. Are you here to receive a part of your badge or something like that? So if you can just stand up and be recognized, tell us your name, what you're part of, and we can make sure that you have your shining moment.
Yeah, we love young people.
Trip 492.
And smile for the camera.
My name is Philip Wilkinson. I am from Troop 492.
And tell us what badge you're working on.
I'm working on citizenship in the community.
How old are you? What school?
I am 17 years old. I'm working to get my GED at the college.
All right, good.
Well, we'll appreciate you and thank you for coming. And if there's anything that we can do to help you along the journey, we are definitely here for you.
And who else traveled with you today?
My mom and my girlfriend.
Oh, good.
And so, is there anything else? I know, Ms. Brown, before we leave, I know we talked a little bit about putting together a small committee, a committee to do a history and seniors event. Have we gotten anywhere with that, or do we need to?
I've contacted a couple of people who haven't gotten back to me. We looked at maybe doing it in August or September, and I talked to one or two people who do arts and crafts, and they're excited about it. And I decided that I would ask our departments to help. I already hit Jonathan. He's gonna talk to his guys, and since we got police department and fire department, any help that you all can give us and help me find the people. What we want to do is give seniors who do arts and crafts a place to come and bring their wares and maybe sell them so that they can have some pocket money for themselves, some extra money to help them with whatever they medicine, food, or just making themselves feel good. And it might make some of them who don't get up out the bed if they have a talent and do some of these things. So I'm working on it.
Okay, let's put together a summer senior art showcase.
And I have
That can be part of that summer series again.
Yeah, I have history
That's her
here.
project. Hey.